Or chat. We'll start with that since you guys want to start with that. Yes, it is true. Anybody that's joining, it is true. The San Antonio Spurs very interested in trading for Darius Garland. Now, this is something actually that's been going on a minute now, right? I've heard it myself. I don't like to talk about it too often, but I get information sometimes, right? I get a little information. I heard it as well, like a few weeks ago. So I'm not surprised at all that this is coming out, that they're interested. But I feel as if there were articles on this prior, but I don't recall. We do so many videos, it's kind of hard to even. It's hard to even keep up with. But yeah, so if we go here, San Antonio Spurs reportedly interested in NBA All-Star point guard, according to Sam Amico of Hoops Wire. The Spurs have interest in a recent All-Star. Darius Garland is coming off another extremely productive year with the Cleveland Cavaliers, in which he had 18 points, 2.7 rebounds, 6.5 assists, and 1.3 steals per contest. While shooting 44.6% from the field, 37.1% from the three-point range in the course of 57 games. This off-season, the Cavs will have a lot of questions to answer about the future of the roster. We don't care about the Cavs. We don't care what they want. We just know what we want. The Spurs will be extremely intriguing landing spot for Garland. They are in need for a point guard that can help facilitate the ball to rising superstar Victor Wembanyama. All right, so there's going to be a lot of rumors running around everywhere just because we're the Spurs, right? You have Victor Wembanyama, you have all this capital, you have all these draft picks. You're going to be in the mix of all of this, right? No matter who it is, you're going to be in the mix of it. But right now, we've talked about this so many times, the Spurs need three things in my opinion, okay? Lori marketing stuff, I don't really care about that. I think they need three things. The number one thing that they need, and I think this is actually the most pressing issue, is a defensive wing, okay? Desperately. This whole season, there were so many games in which we were close and we were playing hard and we started coming together. But then, lo and behold, defense was terrible. The backcourt just terrible, and guards were able to do whatever they wanted, and we only have one Jeremy Sohan. It was awful. So that's number one that they need, and you can get that in this draft. That's why I'm excited about this draft. It's not a great draft, but I'm excited about that nonetheless. But number two, obviously, you need a point guard. That's something that the Spurs are going to need. I thought that maybe they would wait till 2025, but it seems like they are in the mix of that right now. And thirdly, I think that the Spurs need a backup defender behind Wemby. Like, we need some type of backup big man. With all that being said, I saw someone in the chat mention, what would you give up? Someone mentioned Keldon, Malachi, and 3 firsts. Most definitely. I've said this many a times, but hold on. We'll do upcoming draft picks. This is what I'll be willing to give up. I think a lot of people underrate Darius Garland because of the playoffs, but guys, he is a great talent. And under Popovich, I mean, I know that that's a cliche at this point, but under Popovich, we can see what he can cook up. But as far as 3 firsts, what I'll be willing to do is, and I'm gonna tell you my mindset on this, okay? So I am willing to, obviously I'm not the GM, but we're just talking hypotheticals. Keldon and Malachi, those are gimmies. I think that that's more than worth it. Keldon, you guys know how I feel about Keldon at this point, and it seems like he's going to be out the door more than likely. Defensively, he's awful, and I think that we can upgrade at that position. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a good leader. I like his camaraderie with the team. He is a Spur cultural wise, but just on the court, it's not cutting it. So I would cut ties there. I do think Malachi has a lot of promise, and hopefully the Cleveland Cavaliers believe that as well. The reason why I would include Cavaliers is because maybe it'll be a little enticing for them, because we all know that the Cavaliers actually wanted Malachi in the draft. They end up getting Abaji, in which they traded, but they did want Malachi. You know, that they just did it because they had to, basically. And he just fell until he came to the Spurs. Spurs weren't even expecting to get him. So there's that. So I'm cool with those two going. This is all for Darius Garland. Now, as far as draft picks, you said 3. I actually completely agree with you. I would honestly, if the Spurs can manage to do this, so there's a few options I can think of. So 3, I think is inevitable. I'm cool with 3. Number 4, I'll be willing to give that up. Now I'll tell you that in a minute. Why that in a minute. 8, I'm willing to give that up. I'm willing to give up both 4th and 8th, and I will be willing to give up the Chicago's first next year. Now, Chicago's I don't think is that great. I think it's protected 1 through 10, and they're going to be a pretty mid team. And yeah, so whatever. I don't know. It will be pretty enticing for another team because it's more than likely going to convey in a draft that's really, really good. I don't want to give them Atlanta's. I'm not 100% confident where the Spurs will be this season. So I don't really want to give them ours either. Like I want to still be able to control our future. So keep Atlanta's, keep our own, give them Chicago's and these 2. And the reason why I'm comfortable with giving them these 2 for 2024 is actually because it's been rumored that, and you guys know I'm a big Holland fan. It's been rumored that Holland is going to fall. And if the Spurs can manage to maybe package their second rounds, and we have so many future second round picks, and move up in this draft that's not that great, I'll be with it if you can move up and grab him. So then you would get your defensive wing and you would get your point guard. And then 2025, oh my God, the Spurs are going to become nasty. Now, if you don't do that, okay, let's say we don't give them the 4th and the 8th. If we don't want to risk that, we want to keep at least our 8th. I would give them 4th. I would give them Chicago's for next year. And this is not going to work, okay? This is not going to work. This is where I'm being stingy. I would try to give them that Hornets, but that's not going to work. They're not dumb. They're not dumb. The Hornets is not going to convey. That's not going to work. So if I have to give them something else up, I don't know what I would do. Because 2026, we still have Atlanta's. We still have our own. That's a tough one. But one thing I don't want to hear, and I've been seeing this way too often, is people say, I wouldn't want to give anything. I hate that. When you say, okay, what would you give up for Garland? They're like, I wouldn't give up anything. What? You wouldn't give up anything? That's terrible. Notice we started winning games when Keldon and Sohan were out for the season. Calm down. Let's calm down. But yeah, so you guys get it. That's what I'm willing to give up. I really do believe in Darius Garland. He's a great talent. He's exactly what the Spurs need. He'd be a massive upgrade. I saw like a few comments mentioning Trey Jones. They're like, well, we got Trey Jones. Like, this would be a massive upgrade. Massive upgrade. And for less, because it seems like right now Trey Young would cost a lot. And, contextually, I would rather have Darius Garland than Trey Young. Didn't even know Garland was a possibility. Is Markkanen and Garland a possibility? I don't think so. I don't think Markkanen is a possibility. It could happen. You can match salaries. Getting both, I don't know how you would do that. Are people talking about Popovich? I see people saying no Pop slander allowed. But I don't see anybody actually talking bad about Pop. It's not a good draft for superstar talent, but it's definitely a good draft for a player like Derrick Jones Jr., Jay McDaniels type player. Yeah, a lot of role players, or I call them icing on the cake players, right? But our cake ain't even cooked yet, so we can't. That's why I'm just not worried about it that much. If they're willing to give I'm sorry, I love Dilly. It will be cool if the Spurs get Dilly. We'll see what happens. But Dilly, I don't expect him to be as good as Darius Garland. Like, I don't think his ceiling would be Darius Garland. I could be wrong. I don't think so, though. Garland is better in all facets of the game. Obviously being older, but, that plays a part. But he is just better in all assets. Defensively, passing ability. He's just better. He's just a better player. So, and then we went to the bench and we started winning games. Okay, I have no idea what's going on. Y'all ain't hearing me. But yeah, y'all don't hear me. Y'all just want to dance, like Outkast said. But yeah, good news. I think this is good news. You know, I guess depending on who you're talking to, they'll say something else. But I truly do believe that this is good news for the San Antonio Spurs, nonetheless. That or for Spurs fans, that is, that the Spurs are interested. You know, we got it set in stone. Got it set in stone. But good stuff. Good stuff. Nice.